In my dream, there is always an unknown place. I wake up to find myself lying unconscious on the floor. There are always some insects around me, and since I don't like them, I get up fast and feel dizzy because of it. Then I start exploring. The scenery tends to change. Sometimes I'm in the back rooms, sometimes in the post-apocalyptic environment, the wilderness, or an abandoned building. It changes, but it is always terrifying. The atmosphere is nostalgic, sad, and sickening. What all my dreams have in common is that I happen to run away. I'm usually stuck in a place I need to escape from. Once it was even a hospital with a big tree in the backyard. That time, something was chasing me. Another thing. After the third dream, someone else started to appear. I used to be hiding or running all alone, no matter how far I got or how long I ran. But the fourth time it happened, I saw someone. That time, I was in an old building. The wood on the floor, walls, and ceiling was rotting, so walking around was difficult. I had to be careful, but I also didn't have much time. I felt like if I took too long, something would catch me. Trusting that feeling, I scanned my surroundings. I found something that looked like a broom and used it to break a hole in the ceiling. Then I dragged an old table across the floor, climbed on it carefully, and jumped with all my might. Luckily, I reached the hole and climbed outside onto the roof. I walked slowly. The wood beneath me felt like it would collapse at any moment, but time was running out. That's when I saw him for the first time. A young man was standing on the other side of the rooftop. I couldn't make out his face, but he had dark hair and pale skin. He looked to be in his 20s and was just standing there, looking around. I felt like I had to warn him about the dangers of this place, but the words wouldn't come out. I had no more time. Something big was moving behind me. I had to run, so I threw myself forward. Just as I was about to reach him, I felt my head lighten, and I knew the dream was ending. I remember thinking I had survived another round somehow, as if it were part of a twisted game, and apparently another player had just joined. There are a few dreams I can remember clearly, although I can't tell which ones came first. At some point, the whole experience started to merge into itself, making it hard for me to tell them apart. There was this one time I went to sleep wearing my favorite oversized shirt and some shorts. When I woke up in an old building, I was freezing. The place was made of concrete, and water was leaking from somewhere. Mold and wild plants had grown through the cracks in the floor and walls. Somehow, I could feel my bare feet and legs going numb from the cold. Even though it was midsummer when I went to bed. Soon after, I realized it was raining outside, and water droplets were falling on me. Moving around was difficult. Unlike other dreams, this time it didn't seem to have a clear objective. There was no lurking shadow or gruesome monster following me, so I didn't know what to do. That was until I saw the young man across the stairway. He had collapsed in the middle, so there was no way to reach him. But somehow I felt like I had to. I looked around and that's when I noticed someone else. Another person stood behind him, looking at me with wide, questioning eyes. She looked barely of age, maybe still a student. Then again, so did I. Looks can be deceiving. For a moment, I felt like saying hi, but then I realized my mouth was sealed. Maybe because of the cold. I felt the muscles in my face trying to move, but all I managed was a painful, twisted expression. I had to move, otherwise I was sure I wouldn't be able to come back. I turned around and searched for something to help me climb. I found a piece of wood and used it to make a very unstable bridge. Both the wood and the concrete were wet from the rain, and it was slippery. Still, the skin of my bare feet gave me enough grip to cross. The two people I've seen were gone, but I could hear their voices talking. That time, I woke up abruptly. It was the first time I felt my hands and feet that cold, but I soon realized I had forgotten to close the window before bed, so it made sense. I caught a cold that week, and for some reason, I didn't have any nightmares for a while. The next dream was much more involving. At that point, I hadn't questioned any of these experiences. I just thought I'd been working too much, and maybe my studies about childhood trauma were getting to me. There was no reason to overthink it. I just focused on my hobbies and cleared out my schedule. A few weeks later, I had another dream. I didn't realize at first that it was part of the same cycle, because this time, I didn't wake up in an abandoned place. It was my own room, looking exactly as I'd left it before bed. Clothes on the floor, my book on the desk, plushies on the bed. If anything looked different, it was the mirror. It had a strange aura around it, as if it was reflecting light, not from my room, but from the other side. I leaned in and saw that the scene inside had changed. It looked like a door, not a mirror. For the first time in a while, I felt paralyzed with fear. It was like the thing I'd been running from in my earliest dreams was getting closer to my real life. Inside the mirror was a forest at night, windy, recently rained. I didn't dare look at my own reflection, but I couldn't close my eyes either. I needed to see that person. Was that supposed to be me? It felt like it would move. I was so sure of it that I even stopped blinking. But naturally, my eyes dried out and started to burn. I blinked. It took less than a second. That was enough. Two arms shot out and grabbed me, pulling. The glass shattered under the force. I covered my face with both arms. The wind howled in the mirror like a flute being played, and the scent of blood filled the room. The mirror was broken. Pieces were scattered across the floor. I don't know if it was adrenaline or the fact that I was still dreaming, but I barely felt the burn in my arms. Stepping back, trying not to cut myself, was difficult. The light the mirror once contained had splintered into small fragments, each one glowing faintly like fireflies. It was beautiful. Getting something good out of shitty situations never came naturally to me. but that moment was magical. It gave me the courage to look again. I found a larger shard and peered into it. The woods were still there. The breeze now just brushed against my face. And then I saw a person standing by a tree. Young, black hair, snow